Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris Meany here of FTN, checking in with a few MLB picks for StatHero.com. Taking a look at the slate this evening around the diamond. Major League Baseball, 6 games this evening with first pitch happening at 7 Eastern. So still some time to get in there and get yourself familiar with StatHero and get yourself a lineup so we can go head-to-head against StatHero. Look for the link in the description code here. It's going to bring you to StatHero.com, the promo code to use, FTN. And when you do, a whole lot of goodness. Check this out. Get 2 first-time deposit matches by signing up over at StatHero.com. Again, the link here in the description of this video. A 30% bonus match on your first-time deposit and a bonus match on your first sportsbook play up to $250. Again, the promo code to use, FTN. Content happening every day. Stat Hero content, that is, over at FTNdaily.com. So I'm taking a look at the daily fantasy sportsbook. Again, it's just you versus the house. If you're unfamiliar with StatHero.com, it's that simple. It's you against StatHero. You don't have to compete against 100 different lineups. You don't have to worry about ownership, positions. It's just you pick an MVP, and that MVP is going to score 1.5 times the number of fantasy points as the rest of your squad. So it's 1 MVP and 5 flex. Stat Hero going to come out with a lineup every day. They're going to show you the lineup, projected score, who they're rolling with, and then you pick against that lineup. So for today, they have 5 players, 5 flex and 1 MVP. Their MVP, as you see here, Justin Turner of the LA Dodgers, Chris Taylor of the LA Dodgers, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and David Fletcher of the LA Angels. And then they got the catcher in there from Milwaukee, Omar Narvaez from the Brew Crew. So they're really not doing us a ton of favors here, but this is a lineup that we can attack and we can beat. They're projected for 29.9 fantasy points. The Dodgers and the Angels in there, so a little bit of a stack between those two teams, and those two teams have the highest team implied total this evening, so I like where they're going. I see where their head's at. Let's get you familiar with the scoring before I present my lineup. So the scoring goes like this. It's all hitters, of course. 3 for a single, 2 or 5 for a double, 8 for a triple, 10 for a homer. You get 2 for an RBI and 2 for a run. You get on base via the walk or hit by pitch. You get 2 fantasy points. A stolen base gives you 5 fantasy points. Strikeout, that's going to be -2. So you want to keep in mind, you don't want too many free swingers. It really is all about the matchups here. So they went heavy Angels and Dodgers. I got no Dodgers in my lineup, but I am going to compete here with them against Mike Trout. So we're both going to have Trout, but I got Trout as my MVP. So I'm going to get 1.5 times the fantasy points. I think that's a mistake by StatHero, not have Mr. Trout as the MVP. You don't need me to tell you Mike Trout's really good at the game of baseball, but against right-handed pitching so far, he's going to face Kohei Arihara of Texas, and Kohei only has 14 2/3 innings so far on his MLB resume, coming over from Japan. He's allowed 14 hits in those 14 innings, 5 earned runs, 1 homer. Only has 7 strikeouts in those 14 innings and just 1 walk. So the command seems really nice to start his MLB career, but he's not getting a lot of swing and miss. So I understand why StatHero's going with these Angel bats here tonight. 83% contact rate for Arihara, which is top 12 in all of baseball among qualified starting pitchers. So it's still very early. But as we get into the mid-summer months here of the season, June and July, and you see contact rates above 83%, we're going to want to target those pitchers. So not getting a lot of swing and miss. So I'm going to have Trout in there. And against righties so far, he's got the 4 homers, 3 doubles, a 382 average, a 543 WOBA, 264 WRC+, 441 ISO, and a 1.324 OPS. So he's really good, obviously. I'm going to make him my MVP. And something I failed to tell you is that you have to keep under the salary cap of $55K. As you see here when I bring up StatHero's lineup, you see the salary cap there. And Mike Trout is checking in at a pretty good price here. So he's only 10.7. So that's a very strong price up at the top. I mean, you got Mookie Betts there at 14K, Will Smith at 13.6, Josh Bell 13.2. So a bit of a steal here for Mike Trout. I don't know how you don't have him in your lineup. And again, StatHero is going to have him. That's okay. We can be different elsewhere. So Trout's my MVP. I'm going with Jared Walsh. So they have the 1, 2, 3 hitters for the Angels in Fletcher, Ohtani, and Trout. I'm going to put in Trout and Walsh. So Walsh, the lefty up against Arihara. And so far this season against right-handed pitchers, Walsh, 3 homers, 5 extra base hits. He's slashing 357, 461, 786, a 1.256 OPS, 429 ISO, 522 WOBA, and a 250 WRC+. Plus. Those numbers are very identical to what Trout has done. Now, can Walsh keep this up? Maybe not. But last season was very strong towards the end of the last year. Very strong numbers, especially against righties. Get that lefty bat in there, and I think this is a pretty good spot for him up against Arihara. So Walsh, he's expensive. He's not cheap, but I'm going to get him in there with Mike Trout. So those are my 2 Angel bats. Now, I wanted to go Ohtani here, but I'm going to mix things up just to be a little bit different than what they have going on. But I think Ohtani is a very strong play considering he is 7-7. So 7-7 for Shohei, I mean, it's going to be hard to leave him out of the lineup, but I wanted to be a little bit different. I didn't want to have the same guys, really, for the most part, as StatHero. So I wanted to just mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to roll with the 3 Giants. Brennan Belt, Mike Yostremski, Tommy La Stella. So La Stella's 7-8, Ohtani's 7-7. So it was tough. I was back and forth. Like, do I go in there with Ohtani and Trout? They have Ohtani and Trout, so I want to mix it up a little bit. But Ohtani at 7-7 is just a very hard player to ignore given this format. But I'm going to go with La Stella. So all of these bats, lefty bats, up against righty Chase Anderson. So it's going to be a lefty-heavy lineup for San Fran against Chase Anderson. Let's start with Belt. I was taking a look since the start of 2020, so small sample size this year and last year as well. But Belt has been a guy, a lefty, who has had more success against right-handed pitching over the course of his career. Since 2020, he's got a team-high 14 doubles. His 11 homers are the second most. 318 average, 349 WOBA, number 1. 180 WRC+, 1.047 OPS, 305 ISO, 45% fly ball rate. This year against right-handed pitchers, 2 homers and 2 doubles. Mike Yostremski, since the start of last season, 7 homers, 11 doubles, 4 triples, hitting 280, 388 WOBA. This season, 5 extra base hits, 2 homers against right-handed pitchers. And then Tommy La Stella, who really only plays against righties. He leads off against right-handed pitchers. So I'm going to set the table here with La Stella. And he's got a 360 average so far this season against righties. It's number 1 on the team. 389 WOBA, number 1 on the team. So not crazy high in terms of WOBA. It's still leading the squad. And last season, 303 average in 2020 against right-handed pitching. And if you look at 2019, probably his outlier season, it was that big year he had with the Angels, a 306 average, 13 homers, 369 WOBA. So he doesn't have a ton of power, but he has more power against righties. This game is in Philadelphia, not in San Fran, so it's more of a hitter-friendly ballpark. We have the wind blowing out to center 8 miles per hour, so that's why I like this mini San Fran stack. Let's take a look at Chase Anderson on the bump for the Phillies this evening. A 40% fly ball rate for his career, 38.5 this season, so that's a red flag. 2 homers allowed in 11 last season in 33 innings, 53 in 2018 and 2019. So those fly balls have gotten him into a ton of trouble. Say that 5 times fast. Over the last 3 years. 7 K per 9 for his career. Not great. 6 this season. Only a 15% strikeout rate. 5 walks per 9. A 13% walk rate. So he's walking more guys, basically, almost, than he is striking guys out. Both home runs that he's allowed so far this season, 2 left-handed batters. A homer in each of his starts. 2020, lefties, slash 328, 379, 656, a 431 WOBA, a 40% fly ball rate, and a 27% line drive rate. So those are some solid numbers for left-handed bats against right-handed pitcher Chase Anderson. And then my final player here, wanted to save a bit of cash, had to, of course. Josh Harrison, 5.5K. Looks like he's going to hit in the 5 spot for Washington. He has been recently. Very, very small sample size so far for him this year. He's only played 6 games. He's got hits in 5 of the 6. He's got 4 multi-hit games over that span. He had a game against Flaherty where he had 1 hit against him. He finished the game 3 for 4 against St. Louis last week. So it's a tough spot against Flaherty, but I got to save a little bit of cash here. So far, very small sample, as I said, but slashing 455, 500, 636. He's got the home run and the double so far this season. He's a career 274 hitter. 278 last season and 91 plate appearances in 33 games with Washington. So it's not like he's hitting in that 7, 8, 9 spot. He's getting some respect here in the 5 spot. So my team is projected, as we bring it up one more time, projected to get 34.7 fantasy points. So I'm projected to get the W here by about 5 points. I think this is a decent squad. Wanted to throw a couple other potential MVPs at you. I think Welsh, Ohtani, Betts, Trout. These are guys that I can get behind. Yostremski, I could have easily put him in the MVP spot, but I wanted to go with arguably the best player on the planet in what is only a 6-game slate. A few other players before we wrap up here under 10K. Justin Upton, 9.7. Mitch Haniger, 8.8, leading off, having a very, very strong start to the season. Yadier Molina as well, having a very, very strong start to the season. He's 8.3. I mentioned Listella, 7.8, and Shohei Ohtani in there at 7.7. So check out StatHero.com. Have some fun. This is the daily fantasy sportsbook. Again, it's just you, your lineup versus their lineup. It doesn't matter about anything else. It doesn't matter about ownership. Not competing against 100 different lineups. It's just you versus them. StatHero.com. Check out the link in the description for just a lot of bonuses. Make sure you use that promo code FTN. Again, you're going to get 2 first-time deposit matches by signing up for StatHero, clicking the link in the description, a 30% bonus match on your first-time deposit, and a bonus match on your first sportsbook play up to $250. And that's what we're doing here today. Daily Fantasy Sportsbook. Have some fun. Reach out at Chris Meany. Check out FTNDaily.com for more Stat Hero picks every single day. Of course, it's across multiple sports here. We don't have to be doing MLB, but want to have some fun with you guys with baseball. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask at Chris Meany. Leave a comment in the YouTube section as well. Good luck tonight. We'll talk soon. Cheers.